Alright, Shalom. First, I want to give all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashim, Yahweh Shai, double honors to the apostles and elders, great millstone that rule well, that taught us his truth, and blessings to the elect of the nation of Israel, wherever they be scattered. It's above your cow. Come with another lesson, and Lord willing, you be edified. As I said, I'll do the second part to the Leviticus 11 chapter, because that's about the dietary law. Alright, and if you look at the title here, ceremonially clean and unclean animals. So in the last part, I don't know, where is it? I did it here. I did Leviticus 11 part 1. I think we got up to verse 20. Alright, so I'm just going to continue to do the rest of the chapter, so you get an idea of what things are lawful and what things you can eat and not eat, because and you know what, at the end of the day, we're going to be put in a very bad position when Jacob's trouble happens, and you ain't going to be going into Wendy's or Ali Kebabish, and ordering food. Them places are going to be shut. There's going to be a lack of food, man, around, And even though we're in captivity, if you look at all the other captivities that the nation of Israel has been into, they knew who they were. Now, this is the worst one, because the Lord took our nationality away from us, and now we're coming back to that. So because we're coming back to our nationality, our true nationality, we need to know what is lawful to eat, what is unlawful to eat, what you can touch, what you can't touch, so forth and so forth, and the Bible says that let's get that first. All right. Because it says that, and that's the whole point of the lesson, because I did say I was going to do playlist on the laws of Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai, and I've done a few. Alright, but there's a prophecy in here, Judges 5 and 11. It says that we will rehearse the righteous acts, so I'll read it for you. Don't know why it's done that. Alright, Judges 5 and 11. Alright, they that are delivered from the noise of archers. Alright, and when you think of an archer, it's like a man that has a bow and arrow, but really it's talking about America, because the archers are like the missile silos, and the nuclear warheads, is like like the bow, and America's going to be destroyed. So it's saying they that are delivered from the noise of archers. So when it says the noise of archers, it's talking about those nuclear missiles hitting America. And who's going to be delivered from it? It's the elect. 144,000, which is 12,000 men for each Israelite tribe. And there's going to be a remnant of our people all around the world that the Lord is going to save and deliver. And some of them people, alright, if you go to Isaiah 11 and stuff, some of them are going to be absolutely flabbergasted, when they get beamed up in them ships. Because our people have been scattered in all lands, so some of our people think that they're Arabs because they're in Arab countries, but their lineage goes back to our nation, man. Alright, in Bahrain they have people with sickle cell anemia. I've got sickle cell anemia, and that is exclusively a condition that only Israelites get. So Israelites are scattered everywhere. Alright, but it says they that are delivered from the noise of archers. That's going to be the elect and that small remnant. Alright, in the places of drawing water, alright, which is a metaphor for our captivity. Okay, alright, working hard. There shall they rehearse the righteous acts of the Lord. Alright, and when it says the Lord in all caps, it's Yahweh. So we have to rehearse that righteous acts, meaning practice it. Even the righteous acts towards the inhabitants of his villages in Israel. Alright, so it's a rehearsal. So we're not going to get everything perfect, but we have to strive for perfection. Okay, now we got to verse 20 here. Alright, and let's put on Bibles. Put it on the KJV. But there's certain verses I'm going to go into the NLT so it can be easily explained to you. Alright, so Leviticus 11:21. Yet these may ye eat of every flying, creeping thing that goeth upon all fours. So it's talking about like insects and stuff like that. Alright, which have legs above their feet, to leap withal upon the earth. Alright, and it's going to list there in verse 22 what you can. But let's go into the NLT. Alright, to break it down even further to you. Alright, the NLT here, it says Leviticus 11:21. You may, however, eat winged insects that walk along the ground and have joined legs so they can jump. Alright, so it's making it plainer for you, basically, in the NLT. Alright, we go to verse 22. Let's go back to KJV. Alright, verse 22. Now these are what you can eat of these creeping things. Even these of them you may eat: the locust after his kind, so locust is fine, and the bald locust after his kind, and the beetle after his kind. So you can eat beetles, alright, and the grasshopper after his kind. And remember, John the Baptist was eating what? Alright, let's get it here. Matthew 3:4. And the same John had his raiment of camel's hair. Alright, he had clothes of camel's hair, because a camel is unclean to eat, man. Alright, because of its feet. Alright, and a leathern girdle about his loins, his midriff, and his meat, his food, was locusts and wild honey. See, so he ate locusts. Why did he eat locusts? Because he knew the dietary law that he could. Okay, so if you're roughing it out there, you know, you can eat locusts. And by the way, this is more proof that the tribe of Issachar is the Mexicans. Alright, in Mexico, they have people that go on the street and sell locusts, man. There you go. You know, they sell locusts, alright, like this, and they put chili on it, etc. Yes, in certain regions of Mexico, especially Oaxaca, people eat grasshoppers, which is lawful, known as chalapines, as a traditional food source and snack, often seasoned with chili, lime, and garlic. See, so our people are getting down, you know, eating grasshoppers and locusts in Mexico, because there's certain traditions that we kept, all right, even though we were discontinued from our heritage. All right, verse 23. But all other flying, creeping things which have 4 feet shall be an abomination unto you. So you can eat locusts, you can eat beetles, grasshoppers, all right, those things, they creep upon the ground, etc. But all other creeping things are abomination unto you. All right, verse 24. And of these ye shall be unclean. All right, all these other creeping things. Whosoever toucheth the carcass of them shall be unclean till evening. So if you touch these animals, you're unclean until the evening. And remember, evening is the next day. All right, when the sun goes down, all right, the moon comes up, that's evening. All right, like in this society, they say that the next day is midnight, and midnight is the witching hour, and that shows you how wicked this place is. All right, verse 25. And whatsoever beareth aught of the carcass of them shall wash his clothes and be clean until evening. All right, so let's go into NLT. All right, to make it easier for you. All right, Leviticus 11:19. If you pick up their carcasses, all right, if you pick up their carcasses, all these winged insects that are unclean, you must wash your clothes, and you will remain defiled until evening. See? So you'll be unclean until evening. Alright? And that's the great thing about the blue letter. You can always go into the NLT and other versions, to get more clarity on what it's saying. Alright? Verse 26. The carcasses of every beast which divideth the hoof, alright, and is not cloven footed, nor cheweth the cud, which is the grass, are unclean unto you. Everyone that toucheth them shall be unclean. Okay, so carcasses, as we showed in the part 1, in the earlier verses, cloven footed animals. Alright, like the pig is cloven footed. Alright, pork, but it doesn't chew grass. It's basically a human vacuum. Alright, it's a human vacuum, man. Alright, if you take a shit in front of a pig, it will smell it and just eat it. Alright, so you have to be cloven footed and chew the cud like a cow. Alright, so that's what it means. Alright, so if you the carcasses of these unclean animals, alright, they might have a hoof divided, but they're not cloven footed, nor cheweth the cud. All these unclean animals, if you touch it, you're basically, the carcass of it, you're unclean, man. Alright, everyone that touches them shall be unclean. Okay, verse 27. And whatsoever goeth upon his paws like dogs, alright, leopards and lions, bears, among all manner of beasts that go on all four, just like a lion, dog, those are unclean unto you. Whosoever toucheth their carcass, so their carcass when they're dead, shall be unclean unto the evening. And this is the reason why these other nations need to be ruled over. I went to my dad's grave yesterday with one of the brothers, and we were talking about that in the car. None of these nations are right, man. I mean, over there in China, about 20%. This is not, there's a stereotype. Oh yeah, the Chinese people eat dog. Yeah, but there is a big population of people in China that eat dog. All right, and here's it on here. An estimated 10 million dogs a year are killed in China's dog meat trade. Absolutely disgusting. You know the reason why they do that? Because they're heathens, man. And that's why the Heavenly Father made these laws, so we can stand out, so we can be clean, in His eye and in His image, so we can be, because Zion means monument. All right, we are a monument to the Heavenly Father. So the way we conduct ourselves on the planet Earth should be a reflection of the Most High. All right, it should be, but we've gone off. All right, we've gone off. And there's a couple of scriptures that I'll show you that in the past Israelites turned away from the Most High's laws and ate unclean animals, man, and tried to hide it. Alright, so estimated 10 million dogs a year are killed in China's dog meat market. The World Health Organization warns that the dog trade spreads rabies and increases the risk of cholera. Most people in China don't eat dogs. In fact, dog meat is eaten frequently, less than 20% of the Chinese population. Now, in China, they've got over 1 billion people in China. Alright, so it says less than 20%. Less than 20%. 20% of 1 billion people is still millions of people. Alright, so millions of people in China eat dog. Alright, and I think in South Korea it's the same. I saw South Korea, let's see here. Yeah, the dog meat industry is currently heavily restricted and soon to be illegal in South Korea. See, because they have a problem with it as well, man. All right. I mean, look at this shit, man. You know, this is the reason why people are protesting over there and saying this trade. Look, dog meat free Korea is coming. You know, they've basically woke up to their senses and said we have to ban this madness, man. All right. But you know the reason why they do that? Because they have no God. That's why. All right. And China, look at the dog market. Let me look at this shit, man. That's a dog, man. All right. These are dogs. All right. See, look, Chinese eating dogs. And this is a Chinese guy himself exposing this madness, man. But you can't blame them because they've got no rules. I mean, look at this shit, man. You know, they've got puppies like that and they're in cages. I mean, look at this. They're in cages, man. Look. Absolutely disgusting, man. I mean, look at this. This is cruelty, man. All right. Why China UNCLEAN Dog Meat Festival is a wake-up call to the world. I mean, look at the way they're treating the dogs. You know, that's why they need to be ruled over. Okay, and it spreads rabies. And there's we give credit to those Moabites, because Chinese people are called Moabites in the Bible, who are protesting against this wickedness, man. All right. So that's why the Lord gave us his laws to distinguish us from the heathens. All right. But the ways of the wicked, so-called white people in particular, seduce our people. Our people want to be like them. And they're another race of people, you Edomites, so-called whites, that eat abominable food according to the Bible. All right. Okay. So whatever goes on paws among all the manner of beasts that go on all four, those are unclean unto you. Whosoever toucheth their carcass shall be unclean until the evening. All right. So you touch these animal dead. Let's see a dead dog and you touch it, you know, and it's dead. You know, it has paws, man. So you're unclean until the evening, man. All right. Leviticus 11 verse 28. And he that beareth the carcass of them shall wash his clothes and be unclean until the evening. They are unclean unto you. All right. So you're not supposed to eat anything with that has paws that goes on all fours. Verse 29. These also shall be unclean unto you among the creeping things that creep upon the earth, the weasel, the mouse, the tortoise after his kind. And I gotta highlight this as well, man, because over there in China, I don't know what's wrong with these people, man, but as I said, they have no God, man. All right. In China, I saw it on a program. All right, this man was trying to get into Australia and he had turtle meat. All right, there you go. Look, soft shell steamed turtles are a delicacy in the Jiangsu province in China, according to a restaurant owner. The meat and the skin of the turtle are also sometimes used as turtle soup, a dish popular around the world. Oh, absolutely disgusting, man. You know. And look, I mean, look at this shit, man. Wow, man. And then, you know what? They actually look down upon us. They look down upon us. Well, look what they're eating. Look, turtle on a bed of lettuce. You see? See, this is why the Lord has given us these laws. All right, to distinguish us from these animals. I mean, look at this shit, man. This guy's eating a turtle. Look at that. And he's okay with it. Cooking soft-shelled turtle, tasty food. You know? Absolutely disgusting, man. You know? And let's just say we didn't have the Heavenly Father's law. Why would you want to eat an animal like that? You have to be an animal to eat that animal. It's out your mind. You know? So, these shall be unclean unto you, the creeping things that creep on the earth, the weasel, the mouse, the tortoise after his kind. Verse 30, the ferret, All right, so you can't eat ferrets, the chameleon, which is like a lizard, and the lizard, a snail, and the mole. See, in France, these Edomites eat snails. And you niggas want to be like the so-called white people. I mean, they love this in France. Look, look, snails, man. I mean, what's the point of eating snails? They've got a hard shell, so you can't actually crack. You might crack your teeth eating it. But why? I mean, why would you? What is in your mind to actually make food like this? Only an animal would do something like this. And these are Edomites that eat this in France. It's a normal thing in France. They have this other thing, I can't remember what it is. They put this thing down a duck. They eat duck, and they put this thing down the duck's throat, to poison it or make it go fatter. And then they kill it and eat duck. And that's unlawful, you see. So the Lord is giving us a good guide here, because eating these foods that are unclean is going to be bad for your health. All right, because food is medicine. Remember that. All right, verse 31. And these are unclean to you among all that creep. Whosoever doeth touch them, when they be dead. So you touch all these animals like ferrets and chameleons and lizards when they're dead, shall be unclean until the evening. And why would you want to even touch their body while they're dead? So it's important to know this stuff, because in Jacob's trouble, when you might be in a forest somewhere trying to get away from martial law troops or whatever, and if you see beetles, you're starving or whatever, you can eat a beetle or a grasshopper or locust, but these other things, you're not supposed to eat. All right, and the Lord will provide. If you're one of His and you have faith in Him, He'll provide, man. All right. Verse 32. And upon whatsoever any of them, when they are dead, doeth fall, it shall be unclean, whether it be any vessel of wood. So let's say you have a big pot or whatever, or wooden plate or anything like that, or raiment or skin or sack, whatsoever vessel it be, wherein any work be done, it must be put into water, and it shall be unclean unto the evening, so it shall be cleansed. Okay. And if you want more edification to break it down easier, let's go into the NLT. All right, let's see what it says in the NLT. All right, if such animals die and falls on something, that object will be unclean. So if any of them defiled animals, go on an object, it shall be unclean. This is true whether the object be made of wood, cloth, leather, or burlap. Whatever its use, you must dip it in water. All right, and it will remain defiled until evening. After that, it will be ceremonially cleaned and may be used again. All right. So you got to be any of them animals die, and any of them objects you have. All right. You have to clean it, man. All right. You must put it in water. And it will remain defiled until evening. Then in the evening, you'll be clean. All right. Let's go back out to the KJV. All right. Verse 33. And every earthen vessel whereinto any of them falleth, whatsoever is in it shall be unclean. All right, and ye shall break it. Okay, so if it falls in any of these things, it's unclean. All right, let's get more edification to the NLT. All right, Leviticus 11:33. If such an animal falls into a clay pot, all right, everything in that pot will be defiled. The pot must be smashed, all right, meaning break it, all right, if any of them unclean animals fall into it. And that's what I would do. I'll just chuck it in the chuck it in the bin, you know, just chuck it in the bin, man, you know. But these crackers, they will have a dog. They would have a dog, and you know, dogs, you know, they smell, so they know when food is there. And there's videos on YouTube of these crackers having a meal, and then the dog coming and licking the plate and trying to eat the food, you know, and then they just go and eat the food afterwards. You know why? Because they're unclean themselves, man. All right. And it's sad that you coconuts actually look up to these people. You know, looking up to people that hate you is incredible. Verse 38, of all the meat which may be eaten, that on which such water cometh shall be unclean, and all drink that may be drunk in every such vessel shall be unclean. All right, let's get more edification on that to make it simpler for you. Verse 34, if the water from such a container spills on any food, that food is defiled. All right, that food is defiled, and any beverage in such a container will be defiled. All right. So if any such of these animals fall into a clay pot or anything like that, it's defiled. That pot needs to be smashed. If the water from such a container spills on food, all right, that food is defiled, and any beverage in such a container will be defiled. So if anything falls, if any of them unclean animals, all right, fall into a pot or anything like that, smash that pot up. All right. If the water from such a container spills on any food, all right, that food is defiled, and any beverage in such a container will be defiled. All right. So these are all guidelines from the Heavenly Father how to live and conduct yourself when it comes to these unclean animals, and what you can eat and what you can't eat, and what you if you touch any of these defiled animals, or if they touch, you know, your container, or you know, a pot or anything like that. That's why it says it should be smashed up. All right. If the water, and it says if the water of such a container spills on any food, all right. So that container that has been any of these unclean animals have gone into that container, you know, and if they have if the water from the container spills on any food, all right, that food will be defiled. Yeah, because if that unclean animal touches the container, and then if you have water, all right, from the container, and it spills on any food, that could infect your food, man. All right, and that's why it's defiled. All right. Let's go back to KJV, verse 35. Let's see here, verse 35. And everything whereupon any part of their carcass falleth, all right, shall be unclean. All right, any of those unclean animals, if their carcass, all right, falls, they're unclean, whether it be in the oven or ranges of pots. So any of these unclean animals touches any of these things, you know, it's unclean. They shall be broken down, for they are unclean, and shall be unclean unto you. All right, let's go into the NLT. All right, get more edification here. All right, verse 35. Any object on which the carcasses of such animals, unclean animals, falls, all right, shall be defiled. If it's in the oven, or let's say you're out in the woods, you know, and you hell forbid you're with a heathen, you know, and they see a dead animal and they grab the dead animal like a dead dog and they say, you know, we need to cook it, you know, and you go for a piss, you come back and you see him chopping up the dead dog in these pots or making a clay oven and trying to burn it there. Nah, man, you can't be, you know, that's being unclean. All right, because that's an unclean animal. All right. If it is in an oven, all right, or hearth, it must be destroyed, for it is defiled. All right, and you must treat it accordingly. See, so you can't have these disgusting, defiled, unclean animals, you know, near your pots and your ovens and stuff like that. All right, because that will make them unclean, and that's why in the verse up it said to smash it, to break it. All right. Let's see now. Let's go back to KJV. All right. Oh. All right. That's 36. Nevertheless, a fountain or pit wherein there is plenty of water shall be unclean, but that which toucheth their carcass shall be unclean. So any of these animals, all right, let's say there's a fountain and you know, and there's what's it called, let's say if you have any of these unclean animals and you know, you touch the carcass, as I said, it would, yeah, you know, you have to wash it and you're unclean to the evening. But here it's saying, verse 36, nevertheless, a fountain or pit. Actually, let's go into the NLT, make it easier for you to understand. Wait. All right. This will make it easier. And you have to visualize these scenarios, because we're not going to have the luxury of being in the house and having running water and stuff like that. So it's good to know these things, man. All right, Leviticus 11:36. However, if the carcass of such an animal falls into a spring or a cistern, all right, the water will still be clean, but anyone who touches the carcass will be defiled. All right. So you have fountains and stuff like that. You know, you can always these and especially I think in Italy in particular, they have many of these water fountains and stuff where you can drink from it and so forth. You know, but what it's saying here is that, however, if you have a carcass of such an animal falls into the spring or cistern, the water will still be clean. You know, so you'll still be able to drink it. But if you touch that carcass, but anyone who touches the carcass will be defiled. All right, so you're not supposed to be touching the carcasses of these dead animals, man. All right. Go back into KJV. All right, verse 37. And if any part of their carcass fall upon any sowing seed which is to be sown, it shall be clean. Okay. Verse 38. But if any water be put upon the seed, and any part of their carcass fall thereon, it shall be unclean unto you. Okay. Verse 39. And if any beast of which ye may eat die, he that toucheth the carcass thereof shall be unclean unto the evening. All right. Let's go here. Make it more plain unto you. All right. Let's see here, verse 39. All right. If any animal you are permitted to eat dies, and you touch its carcass, you will be defiled until evening. So you'll be unclean. And these are animals that you're permitted to eat. If it dies and you touch it, the carcass, you're defiled, but only until evening. Alright? And these are animals you are permitted to eat. Animals which are lawful. You know? And then in the evening you can clean it and then you can eat it. Alright? Let's see here. Go back to the KJV. Alright, a few more verses, and then we'll put it to a close. Alright, verse 40. And he that eateth the carcass of it shall wash his clothes. Alright. And these are animals that are permitted. And be unclean unto the evening. He also that beareth the carcass of it shall wash his clothes and be unclean unto the evening. Alright. So you're only, if you, and these are, and this is talking about, remember, it's talking about animals, alright, that you can eat. Alright. If it's dead and the carcass touches your clothes, you're unclean to the evening. You know what I mean? Alright. He also that beareth the carcass of it shall wash his clothes. So, you know, if you touch, like, even when these clean animals, when it's dead, you know, you're unclean to the evening, but then you can wash your clothes and be unclean unto the evening. See, unclean to the evening. Alright, verse 41. And every creeping thing which creepeth upon the earth shall be an abomination. Alright, it shall not be eaten. Alright, so you can only eat things that, as it said before, grasshoppers, you know, locusts, beetles. You know, right? Verse 42. Whatsoever goeth upon the belly, whatsoever goeth upon all four, and whatsoever have more feet among all creeping things, like those centipedes and millipedes that creep upon the earth, them ye shall not eat, for they are an abomination unto you. You know, so it says, let's see here, it says, whatsoever have more feet. Alright, so like a centipede, is it centipede? I mean, is it centipedes? Yeah, there you go. They have many feet. You ain't supposed to be eating that shit, man. Alright, so things like this, they're unclean unto us. Out of all the creeping things, it's an abomination to eat it. Alright, verse 43. Ye shall not make yourselves abominable with any creeping thing that creepeth, neither shall ye make yourselves unclean with them, that ye should be defiled thereby. Alright, seeing it's supposed to be touching them things. And what else goes on their belly? Snakes, they go on their belly. They're supposed to be eating snake meat. And in many places they do that, man. Okay. Alright. Verse 44. For I am the Lord your God. Alright. When it says Lord, it means it's Yahweh in caps. Ye shall therefore sanctify yourselves, and ye shall be holy. And holy means to be separate. Alright. We're separate people. We're not supposed to be going and following the heathen ways. Alright. For I am holy. Alright. See, the Lord is holy. Neither shall ye defile yourselves with any manner of creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. Alright. So the Lord has done this to make us separate from these other nations. Alright. And for your health. Okay. Alright. That's why as a nation we're sanctified now. We're set apart. Okay. And if you look at our history, even in the Middle Ages, you know what I mean? Our people in the Middle Ages knew exactly who they were, man. And that's the reason why they had church courts, they had crimes were punishable by death, like heresy, so forth. But ever since we fell from that period, which the white man calls the Renaissance period, and we were put on slave ships, alright, we've lost everything, you know? And that's why we have to learn these things over again. Alright? And that's what the Bible talks about, being born again. We were basically discontinued from our heritage, like Jeremiah 17:4. We didn't know who we were for a long time, and now we're coming back to who we are. So if we're coming back to who we are, we have to learn the ways of our God, so we can be sanctified, so we can be holy and a separate people, so we can walk the way He wants us to, all right, which is a holy walk. And then if we do that to the best of our ability and have faith, the Lord's going to save us in these last days. All right. Verse 45, for I am the Lord that bringeth you up out of the land of Egypt. And remember, all right, Moses, when we were in the wilderness, Moses got the laws, statutes, and commandments, and it needed to happen because we were in Egypt as slaves for 400 years. So the way the Egyptians lived, Israelites picked up their habits, all right, and that's why we go to Jeremiah. Let's see, Jeremiah 10, and this is basically it specifically talks about Christmas here. You can see it's Christmas, but the general theme is to not follow the ways of the other nations. And if you look at our women in particular, our women dress like white women. In fact, they dress even more provocative than white women now in London, man. You go to Clapham Common, oh my gosh, go to Clapham Common, man, and see our women there. All right, their miniskirts are shorter than the white woman. All right, it's Jeremiah 10:1. All right, hear ye the word of the Lord. All right, when it says Lord, it means Yahweh. All right, so hear ye the word which Yahweh speaketh unto you, O house of Israel. All right, so this whole Bible is to us. These other heathens, because the Bible is everywhere, they think that they've got a part in salvation and stuff. The Lord has just played a trick on them. All right, salvation is only for us, and out of all Israelites, only a small minority is going to make it. That's why when you start sticking up for heathens that hate you, all right, you're basically throwing away your salvation. Okay, verse 2. Thus saith the Lord, learn not the way of the heathen. So we're not supposed to learn the ways of the heathen. And I guarantee you, being in 400 years in Egypt, slaves, I guarantee you, we ate the same foods that they ate and did the same bullshit customs that they did. All right, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven. So when you see things in the earth, like the other day there was a what's it called, a spiral. All right, was it a spiral? It was like a spiral in the sky. There you go. Yeah, this happened the other day, man, and I think this was in England. I think it was. All right. We're not supposed to be dismayed at these signs of heaven, because we know that the Heavenly Father and His angels, the chariots and stuff, they do these things all the time. All right, so we're not supposed to be dismayed and scared at the signs of heaven, and that includes blood moons and so forth. All those things, signs of heaven, like blood moons in Acts 2:20, that is just a sign that Yahushua is coming back very soon. All right, which is a good thing, because we're suffering here, man. And our people's behavior is getting worse because they're doing what? They're following the ways of the heathen. All right. For the heathen are dismayed at them. Oh, what's that in the sky? We're not supposed to be dismayed. All right. But the main thing, it says, following the ways of the heathen. All right. Verse 3. For the customs of the people are vain. And I guarantee you, when we were in Egypt, ancient Egypt, we picked up their customs. So that's why the Lord gave us these laws, statutes, commandments, all right, to sanctify us and make us holy. For one cutteth a tree out of the forest, it's talking about the Christmas tree, for the work of the hands of the workman with the axe. All right, and it goes on, and it's talking about Christmas. Basically, look, verse 4, they deck it in silver and in gold. That's your tinsel. All right, and they fasten it with nails and with hammers that it moves not. That's when you put the tree, the Christmas tree, in the ground. All right, but the main point I'm trying to say is the Lord said what in verse 1. All right, verse 2, it said, follow, all right, not the way of the heathen. All right, learn not the way of the heathen. So in ancient Egypt, we did learn the ways of the Egyptians, who are heathens, non-Israelites. That's what heathen means. So that's why the Lord gave us these laws. All right. So here he's telling you why. For I am the Lord that bringeth you out of the land of Egypt, to be your God, to be the Most High. Ye shall therefore be holy, and holy means separate. All right. For I am holy. All right. Verse 46. This is the law of the beasts and the fowl. All right. Beasts are usually on the ground, fowls are in the air. All right. And of every living creature that moveth in the waters, and of every creature that creepeth upon the earth. All right. Here's the point. Verse 47. To make a difference between unclean and clean. So what is clean animals and unclean animals? What we can eat, what we can't eat, you know. And if we touch these unclean animals, we, you know, all throughout this chapter it gives us instructions what to do. You know, you're unclean until evening. All right. So don't start going, you know, back to your wife and you know, you touch these unclean animals, you know, and it's not evening yet. Don't go to your wife and start hugging her, because you're going to make her unclean as well. All right. To make a difference between the unclean and the clean. All right. And a difference between the beast that may be eaten and the beast that may not be eaten. So that is Leviticus, the whole chapter here. All right. So I've done that, and as I said, this is part one. No, this is the one of the other brothers, but I did part one here, and that's why I did a playlist. So it's Laws of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. So in this playlist, this video I've just done, I'll add it to this playlist. All right, Leviticus 11 Dietary Law part 1 I did, and now this one is part 2, so I'll add it to the playlist. And as we go along, I'm gonna keep doing lessons like this on the laws. All right, studying it myself and putting it out there, because we have to know the laws of our God, man. All right, and then when you're in a damn restaurant or whatever, you know what you can order and what you can't order. The Muslims know that pork is unclean. All right. Let me get one last scripture. There's one scripture. Wait a minute. There's one last scripture, and it shows you the disobedience of our people when it came to this dietary law back in the past. All right. Okay. Now remember, see, look, Leviticus 11 and 7, and the swine, which is the pig, all right, though he divideth the hoof and be cloven-footed, all right, cloven-footed, yet he cheweth not the cud. He doesn't chew grass like a sheep or a goat. All right, he is unclean unto you. So pork is unclean. All right. So now you know that. Then when you go to that restaurant, you ain't gonna ask, you know, you shouldn't ask for pork fried rice. All right, because you want to please your maker, your God. Okay. But here, it shows you that in the ancient world, our people were so wicked. All right. They thought that they would try to fool the Most High. All right. I'll start at Isaiah 65 and 2. All right. I have spread out my hands all day unto a rebellious people. I wonder who that's talking about. Our people, which walketh in a way that was not good. So our forefathers were walking in a way that's not good, and it's still happening after their own thoughts. All right, after their own thoughts. Okay, next verse 3. A people that provoketh me to anger continually to my face. This is the Heavenly Father speaking here. That sacrificeth in gardens, all right, and burneth incense upon altars of bricks. of brick, and they're burning incense to other gods. All right, verse 4, which remain among the graves and the lodge in the monuments, which eat swine's flesh. So our ancestors were going, near these graves and lodges and monuments to eat what? Swine's flesh, which is pork, which is unclean, and broth of abominable things, which is in their vessels. Just like today in America, our people, and it's a slave, and it became from a slave tradition, but they had something called gumbo. All right, gumbo recipe. There you go, gumbo, and in gumbo is just absolute garbage, man. All right, see, look, New Orleans Creole gumbo recipe. All right, this boldly flavored stew is bursting with fresh filling ingredients like bell pepper, sausage, and where's sausage from? It's from swine, so it's unclean. Stewed tomatoes and crab meat, and crab is a bottom feeder. You're not supposed to be eating crab, see? All right. Oh, this is Cajun tradition, this, that, and the other. Yeah, all right, fair enough, because our people used to get different pieces of animal and just put it in the pot because they were slaves, and it came. All right, I think it really happened all the way from slavery. All right, what is the origin of gumbo slavery? The origins of Louisiana gumbo is traced to West Africa. See, during the time when enslaved Africans and when not Africans were Israelites brought okra or gumbo, which is known in regional tongues, with them to the Caribbean and South and United States South, including where they're from in the port city of New Orleans. See, so in New Orleans, they put all these different ingredients together in a stew, and they called it gumbo. And a lot of the ingredients is unclean. Okay, and back in Asia, well, people were doing the same thing, eating swine's flesh. All right, and broth of abominable things in their vessel. All right, and a broth is like a gumbo. It's like a stew, See, broth is slavery, flavorful liquid made by steaming meat, fish, or vegetables in water. See, so back in that time, our people were eating swine's flesh, putting it in a broth, making it in their vessels, man, their pots and pans, and which is abomination. Okay, they were eating swine's flesh. All right, which say, stand, this is verse 5, which say, stand by thyself, come not near to me, for I am holier than thou. These are a smoke in my nose, a fire that burneth all day. So the Lord wasn't happy with our people trying to pretend to be holier than thou, but they were eating swine flesh. All right, so now all right, the foods that you can eat and can't eat, and you can go over this chapter yourself. All right, and remember, you can always go into click Bible here and go into the NLT, which makes it easier to understand. All right, so I hope you're edified. All right, until the next lesson, shalom.